I'm 56. Name's Dan. Not much of a storyteller, really. I've always been more of a builder. Work, family, house, repeat. Kept my head down, played it straight. Been married to Erica for almost 30 years. We met through friends, nothing romantic or cinematic about it. She was smart, measured, steady, no drama. That's what I liked about her. We built a life, a home, a daughter. Sam short for Samantha. She's grown now, married, even has a kid of her own. So, yeah, I'm a grandpa. And honestly, I was proud of that. Thought we did everything right. Our marriage wasn't fireworks and violin music, but I never wanted that. What we had was quiet, solid, reliable. The kind of marriage people envy when their own lives are burning down. At least that's what I believed. We got through everything life threw at us. Tight finances in the early years. Erica's mom dying. My back surgery. Raising Sam. Keeping our heads above water. When people asked, "What's your secret?" I'd just shrug. Truth is, I thought we were partners, teammates, the real deal. I never cheated. Never even came close. We weren't overly affectionate, but I figured after this many years, that's normal. We were just comfortable. And when you're building a life brick by brick, comfort is currency. But then one night, casual dinner, everything started to crack. We were sitting at the table, me, Erica, Sam, and her husband, just talking, laughing, catching up. And her husband goes, "When's the last time you two took a trip? Just the two of you?" And Erica smiles, says, "Well, unless you count those conferences I used to go on." I looked at her. "You mean the ones you went to alone?" She hesitated. "Not long? Half a second, maybe?" Then, "Oh, I meant, like, me and coworkers. It was nothing." She waved it off. Sam changed the subject, but my brain didn't. That pause, that half-second flicker, it stuck with me. I'd seen Erica lie before, about small things, birthday surprises, the price of shoes, but this felt different. The next day I found myself thinking about those conferences. She went every spring, like clockwork. 2, maybe 3 nights. Always to the same city. I never questioned it, just stayed home, took care of things. But now I realized I didn't know a damn thing about them. No photos, no stories, no little souvenirs. And come to think of it, she always came back tired, quiet, not relaxed, not refreshed, just off. That's when I pulled up my laptop. I dug through old emails, flight confirmations, hotel bookings. Everything looked fine too fine. Generic hotels, generic receipts, nothing personal, nothing human. And the dates? Always the same weekend each year. And always conveniently, when Sam was away visiting Erica's mom, I'd be home alone, no one else around. Was that a coincidence? Maybe. But something inside me was already moving, shifting. I stared at our family photo on the wall. Me, Erica, Sam, her husband, the grandkid, all smiling like life made sense. And for the first time in decades, I thought, what if it's all a lie? For over 20 years, Erica went to the same conference every spring. Always 3 days. Always the same city. Same dates, like it was etched into her calendar in stone. I never once went with her. Not because I couldn't, because I wasn't invited. She always said it was work. Nothing special. A teaching seminar. She'd act like it was boring. Routine. Not worth mentioning. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She'd pack a small bag. Just enough for a couple nights. Leave early Friday. Back by Sunday night. She never brought back anything. No swag from the event. No hotel pins. No photos. No funny stories about coworkers. No gossip. Nothing. I'd ask how it went. She'd just say fine and change the subject. At the time, I chalked it up to her being a private person. Not big on details. Not one to overshare. But after that night at dinner, when she flinched at a simple question, my brain wouldn't let it go. I started thinking back through the years. Every trip followed the same pattern. She'd leave tense like something was building. She'd come back relieved, like something had been released. And that relief, it wasn't just physical. It was emotional. She'd be quieter for a day or two, then act like nothing happened, like she'd reset. I ignored it for years. Told myself I was overthinking. Told myself I was lucky to have a wife who didn't need to be babysat. But now I couldn't unsee it. So I did something I'd never done before. I went through her old emails. She wasn't tech savvy. She never cleaned her inbox. Tens of thousands of messages. I started filtering by dates every spring, from as far back as I could go. I found hotel confirmations, flights, event reminders. Most of it looked normal, until I found one chain from about 8 years ago, a forwarded hotel reservation standard stuff. Except at the bottom, in small print, there was a section for additional guests. The name listed? Randy M. No last name, no details. Just a name I'd never heard before. Not a coworker, not someone she'd ever mentioned. I searched her inbox for Randy. Nothing else came up, but it stuck in my head. Who the hell was Randy? Was he part of the conference? A speaker? A friend? Or was he the reason she came back smiling like she'd just won something? I checked her calendar app. It was synced to our shared account for years. Every spring blocked off for the conference. Same hotel, same weekend, no variation. It was too clean, too controlled. I went through old credit card statements. One stood out. A dinner charge. For two. Expensive place. Not the kind of place you eat alone. Same night, same city, same hotel. Suddenly, it all started lining up. I wasn't looking at coincidences. I was looking at a pattern. She was meeting someone every year. And whoever Randy was, he wasn't just a name on a receipt. He was the constant behind those weekends. The reason she left. The reason she came back lighter. And I had no idea how long it had been going on. 5 years? 10? Maybe longer. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let it slide. Not this time. Finding Randy's name was just the start. Once I had it, everything started to unravel. Slowly at first, then all at once. I started with old backups, email archives, cloud storage, phone data she thought was gone. She's not very tech-savvy, never deleted anything properly. That worked in my favor. One by one, I started connecting the dots. There were old flight itineraries. Same destination every year, usually in April. Always booked under her name, but twice I saw 2 tickets. One labeled as a guest pass. There were dinner receipts, fancy restaurants way above her usual spending habits. One receipt even had 2 meals ordered, plus a bottle of wine. She always said she didn't drink. Then I found photos. Not explicit, nothing scandalous, but just enough. A blurry selfie in a hotel mirror. A man's suitcase in the corner. A jacket that wasn't mine. Her face different. Softer. Relaxed. She looked. Loved. I kept digging. Eventually, I found a folder she had labeled Tax Docs 2009. It wasn't taxes. It was emails. Old ones. From a Yahoo account I didn't even know she had. Messages from someone named RM. Randy. The tone said it all. Same place, same time. Can't wait to see you. Wish these weekends never had to end. 30 years and you still look better than anyone else I've ever met. I just stared at the screen. 30 years. That's how long this went on. It started in college. She met him at a spring seminar back when they were both students. They hooked up, stayed friends, then made it a tradition. Every year, one weekend. While I was raising our daughter, building our house, working late to keep things running, she was booking hotel rooms to see him. Every year. Behind my back. For 3 decades. He wasn't some midlife crisis. He wasn't an accident. He was her habit, her ritual, her real partner just hidden away. And me? I was the safety net, the provider, the background. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat there and let it sink in. This woman had been with me through everything. Birthdays, funerals, hospital visits, Christmas mornings. And all the while, she had someone else waiting for her in April. You'd think I'd explode. Trash the room. Call her out. But I didn't. I didn't say a word because I realized if she could lie that well for that long, she wouldn't crack just because I yelled. And I wasn't about to give her the chance to explain it all away. I wanted something better. I wanted her to feel what I felt, but not in one loud moment. No. I wanted to break her slowly, like she broke me. So that's when I made the decision. No confrontation. No fight. Just a plan. A cold, focused, detailed plan. I was going to take her life apart, quietly, carefully, and piece by piece. And by the time she realized what was happening, it would already be too late. Once I made the decision, I didn't waste time. There was no yelling, no confrontation, just quiet steps, taken one by one. I started with the money. First, I moved our shared assets. Gradually, discreetly, separate accounts under my name only. Old offshore contacts came in handy. A few shell corporations, clean paperwork. I started reporting lower income, changed the structure of my business on paper, cut her out of anything she could claim later. She didn't even notice. Still too busy living in her bubble. I canceled joint credit cards, transferred the mortgage into my name, moved investments into trusts she had no access to. Everything looked the same from the outside, but the foundation had shifted. She didn't realize that the house she lived in, the lifestyle she enjoyed, none of it would belong to her when I was done. Then I moved on to phase 2. Randy. I didn't want just financial revenge. I wanted him to feel it too. So I did some digging. He was a mid-level corporate guy, worked in marketing for a regional firm. Nothing impressive, but stable. Too stable. I found out who his clients were. I knew people in that world. Made a few calls, dropped a few hints, said he was involved in some shady personal stuff. Didn't give details. Let their imaginations do the work. Business circles are small. Reputation spreads fast. His name started to stink. Then I hit him with something real. I compiled a packet, emails, hotel bookings, expense reports, all of it showing he used company funds to finance his little trips. I sent it to his employer anonymously. CC'd HR, legal, even a board member. Took 2 weeks. He was fired. No pension, no severance, just out. I wasn't done. His LinkedIn gone. Word got around fast enough that no one touched him after that. He tried consulting. Didn't last. Eventually, I found out he was working freelance. Children's parties. Birthday clown. Literally. Went from a 6-figure job to face paint and balloon animals. I'd be lying if I said I didn't smile at that. I didn't need to touch him physically. I didn't need to show my face. I just pushed a few buttons. And the fall did the rest. Meanwhile, Erica was still walking around like nothing was wrong. Same morning coffee. Same evening routine. She had no idea the floor beneath her was already crumbling. She didn't see what I was building. A quiet little cell. No bars. No locks. Just truth. And when it closed around her, there'd be no way out. By the time I was done with him, Randy wasn't a threat. He wasn't even a man anymore. He was a ghost floating from couch to couch, barely holding on. After getting fired, he tried to bounce back. Tried consulting. Tried pitching himself as a branding expert, but the calls stopped coming. His name was blacklisted in every company he had ever worked with. I made sure of that. A few industry emails, some carefully worded references. Nothing aggressive, nothing traceable. Just enough to make people second-guess hiring him. He lasted a few months on freelance scraps. Then came the slide. He lost his apartment. Moved in with a friend in some rundown suburb. Not even a real bedroom, just a basement with a mattress and a lamp. He picked up work wherever he could. One day, I ran a background scan, and there it was. He was listed as a performer for children's parties. He called himself Captain Giggles. Face paint, oversized shoes, red nose, the whole thing. $50 an hour. No insurance, no benefits, no dignity. From executive marketing director to birthday clown, and not even a good one. His reviews were mixed. Showed up late. Didn't seem into it. One parent even said he smelled like alcohol. I saved the listing. Not out of spite, but for closure. He was already done. But fate pushed it one step further. A week later, I got a notification from a local news feed. Headline: Man found deceased in shared basement apartment. Suspected overdose. No name listed. No photos. But I knew. I checked the property records. Same address as his friend's place. Same zip code. Same age range. Then, 2 days later, the obituary appeared. Short. Generic. Randall M., 52, passed away unexpectedly. No services scheduled. No wife. No kids. No mention of accomplishments. Just a name. A date. And silence. I sat at my desk and stared at the screen. Not angry. Not satisfied. Just done. He was gone. And he took the secrets with him. Erica didn't find out until 3 days later. She got a phone call. I was in the kitchen. She was on the couch. I heard her voice tight, shaky. Then came the crash. A glass hit the tile. Shattered. She stood there, frozen. Her face pale, hands trembling. She turned to me, eyes wet. It was Randy, she said. He's dead. Overdose. I don't understand. She collapsed into the chair and covered her face. I didn't say a word. I just watched her break. She cried for hours. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep. Not guilt, not shame, but loss. A real loss. The kind that only happens when someone meant more to you than you ever admitted out loud. I didn't console her. Didn't ask questions. Didn't comfort. Because in that moment, I realized something. She hadn't just cheated. She had loved him. And that made everything worse. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I'd taken Randy from her. But there were still more lies under our roof. And I was about to uncover the next one. After Randy's death, things changed around the house. Erica was quieter, more distant. She walked like a woman haunted. Not from guilt, from grief. I wasn't interested in her pain. I was focused on something else. Samantha. I couldn't shake the thought. For months, something had been bothering me, small inconsistencies. Little details that didn't add up. She was born about a year after Erica and I got married. We'd had some trouble conceiving. Or so I thought. But the timing? It started to feel too convenient. And once I realized how long Erica had been seeing Randy, once I knew they'd never actually stopped, I couldn't ignore the math anymore. So I made a decision. I ordered a paternity test. Discreet, no drama. Just a clean, quiet truth. I used a sample from an old toothbrush of Samantha's. Sent it in. Waited. The results came back in 7 days. Probability of paternity, 0%. Just like that. 3 decades of being a father erased in one sentence. Samantha wasn't mine. Not biologically. Not genetically. Not in any real way. I read the report twice. Then a third time. No error. No doubt. Erica had passed off another man's child as mine. Built an entire family on that lie. Watched me raise her. While she looked at both of us knowing the truth. And I played the role. Paid the bills. Taught her to drive. Helped her through college. Walked her down the aisle. I did everything a father does. Except I wasn't one. I wasn't angry. Not in the way people expect. I was clear. For the first time in a long time, everything made sense. The loyalty to Randy. The strange emotional distance Erica always had with me. The way Samantha never fully looked like either of us. I saw it now. I wasn't a husband. I wasn't a father. I was a cover. A story. A name on a certificate that made her life look clean. Well, that story was over. I went to my safe and pulled out the divorce papers I had been preparing. They were already drafted. Assets reassigned. Trust locked in. Accounts separated. All I had to do was sign. I added a new clause. Samantha was no longer listed as a beneficiary on anything. No inheritance. No fallback. Nothing. I didn't owe her a legacy. She had another man's blood. She could live with that. Erica would get served by the end of the week. I wasn't going to explain. I wasn't going to argue. She'd spent 30 years lying to me. Now she'd get the truth in return. I waited until the end of the day. No distractions. No background noise. Just me, Erica, and the truth. She was in the dining room, scrolling through her phone like it was any other evening, completely unaware that the ground beneath her life was about to disappear. I sat down across from her and placed a folder on the table. She looked up, eyebrows slightly raised. "What's that?" she asked, still trying to sound casual. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked her straight in the eye and said it plainly. "I know." She paused, trying to read me. "I know about Randy. And I know about Samantha." Her hand stopped moving, phone still in her palm, but suddenly forgotten. She blinked once, twice, and then came the default reaction denial. "What are you talking about?" She forced a laugh, like this was some weird misunderstanding, but I didn't flinch. I didn't yell. I didn't get up. I just pushed the folder toward her. She opened it slowly, saw the DNA results, the hotel records, printouts of her messages with Randy, everything. The silence dragged out longer than I expected. Then the color drained from her face. First, her mouth opened to speak, then closed again. There was nothing to say. Eventually, she whispered, "Dan, but I cut her off. You had your chance to tell the truth. You never did." She tried to collect herself. "Please, I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was a mistake. A long time ago. I didn't want to lose you." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. 30 years. That's not a mistake. That's a lifestyle. Tears started forming. "I love you," she said. "No," I replied. "You loved having a safety net. You loved the image. You loved the house, the life, the reputation. But you didn't love me." She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away. "You lied about everything. Randy, Samantha, the marriage. And you let me live that lie. Every day." She shook her head. "I didn't think it mattered anymore. Samantha grew up. You and I were doing fine." I slammed the next document on the table. Divorce papers. Prepared. Signed. Dated. "You're done," I said. "This house, the savings, the retirement, all gone. You get nothing." Her voice cracked. "You can't do this." I stood up. "I just did." She tried one more time. "Dan, please, we built a life together. Doesn't that count for something?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No." Because I was the only one building it. And then I walked away. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't storm out. I left her sitting there, surrounded by the proof of her betrayal. Not because I was angry, because I was finished. After I served the papers, things moved fast. The silence between us turned permanent. She didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't fight. I think she knew it was over the moment. I said, "I know." But there was still one card left to fall, Samantha. I hadn't told her yet. I wasn't sure how. She wasn't a child anymore. She had her own life, her own family. But for 26 years, I'd called her my daughter. And now I knew she wasn't. Still, I didn't want to drop it on her out of spite. So I asked her to meet me for coffee. We sat outside. Normal weather. Normal people walking by, unaware a bomb was about to drop in the space between us. She smiled. "Everything okay, Dad?" That word hit different now. I looked her in the eyes and said, "I have something I need to tell you." I didn't dramatize it, didn't get emotional. I told her everything. Randy, the affair, the DNA results. I ended it with a simple truth. You're not biologically mine. Silence. She didn't cry, didn't gasp. She just sat back in her chair and stared. And then she said the words I didn't expect. "You're still my dad. That doesn't change." I wanted to believe it. But the truth? It did change everything. Because suddenly, I realized something. She knew. Not the full story. Not the science. But she'd suspected. For years. And she'd never asked. Never told me. Never cared what it would do to me if I found out. She loved her mother too much. She stood by her. And when the divorce went public, when Erica lost everything, Sam took her side. Said I was being too harsh. Said people make mistakes. Said I should forgive. Forgive? 30 years of lies? A child passed off as mine? A wife who gave me a life built on betrayal? No. So I made a clean cut. Blocked her number. Removed her from my estate. Told her husband we were done, no bad blood, but I wouldn't be around anymore. And then I left. Sold the house. Split the assets legally, down to the last penny. She got the legal minimum, not a dime more. I moved to a smaller place in another state. Quiet. Peaceful. No ghosts in the walls. Erica? She stayed behind. The friends disappeared. The reputation faded. She couldn't get a teaching job again. Word spreads fast in small towns. Her family stopped calling. Even Sam, who once defended her, eventually stopped visiting. The betrayal was too big to sweep under the rug forever. Now she lives alone. No money. No future. No man. No support. A woman who once had everything now has nothing. And me? I finally have peace. Not revenge. Not joy. Just clarity. And silence. The kind of silence you earn, not the kind you're handed. It had been about a month since I moved out. No contact. No emails. No loose ends. I was rebuilding my life from the ground up, and for once, it felt like I was doing it for myself. Then, one afternoon, I got a call from an old mutual friend, someone I hadn't spoken to since before the divorce. He didn't ask how I was doing. Didn't ask where I'd gone. Just said, "You probably want to know Erica's in the hospital." I didn't react at first. Didn't ask why. Didn't feel much. Until he said the next part. Something serious. Infection. Real bad. They're saying she might not recover fully. That got my attention. So I made a few calls. Discreet ones. Didn't want to show up in person. I had no interest in seeing her. But what I found out stopped me cold. Erica had been diagnosed with a severe, late-stage STD. A rare strain, aggressive, damaging, and untreated for years. By the time it was caught, the infection had spread. Internal complications. Organ damage. She'd ignored the symptoms for too long, and now it was too late. They weren't sure if she'd ever fully recover. And the kicker? The doctors traced the origin. It wasn't new. It wasn't something recent. She had been carrying it for over a decade, possibly longer. Which meant it came from Randy, the man she ran to every spring, the man she cried over when he died, the man she claimed to love. He'd left her with more than memories. He'd left her with rot. She probably didn't even know. Or maybe she did, and ignored it out of pride. Either way, it was symbolic. The same man who ruined her emotionally, who broke our family, who destroyed her future, had also destroyed her body. Twice. I didn't celebrate, didn't gloat. I just sat there with the truth. This wasn't karma. This wasn't justice. This was biology. Actions have consequences. And sometimes they come with lab results. Erica had always been careful about her image. She controlled every detail of our lives. What we wore, how we spoke, who we saw. She lived for appearances. Now she was lying in a hospital bed, alone, in pain, infected, her body failing, her secrets exposed to strangers in white coats. And no one came to visit. Not her colleagues. Not old friends. Not even Samantha. Because eventually, betrayal burns everything around it. Even the ones who help light the match don't want to stand near the smoke. I didn't send flowers. Didn't write. Didn't check in again. I simply let her sit with what was left. The man she chose destroyed her once with love, and a second time with disease. And all I did was walk away. These days, life is quiet. No drama. No raised voices. No walking on eggshells. I live alone. By choice. In a smaller house, in a different state, far from the one where it all fell apart. I wake up early. Brew coffee. Sit on the porch and watch the morning take shape. No noise. No lies. Just stillness. Sometimes I think about everything that happened. Not often, but enough to remember why I left. The betrayal. The 30 years of secrets. The man she kept in the shadows. The daughter who wasn't mine. The house built on someone else's foundation. And the woman who thought I'd never find out. She spent her life controlling the narrative, keeping things neat, keeping them clean. She wanted to be remembered as a good wife, a good mother, a respected professional. But in the end, all of that burned away. She lost her career, her health, her daughter, her dignity, all because she thought truth could be buried forever. She was wrong. I didn't explode when I found out, didn't break things, didn't scream. I let it sit, let it build, let it grow into something sharp and precise. Then I took everything she valued, her image, her comfort, her future, and I turned it into a mirror. I made her look at what she'd done, and I made sure she couldn't look away. Some people think revenge is loud. They think it's shouting, or slashing tires, or showing up with a lawyer and a camera. But they're wrong. Revenge is quiet. It's steady. It's slow. It's when you walk away while the other person is still explaining. It's when you sleep well while they lie awake. It's when the truth speaks louder than you ever need to. Some mornings, I take a sip of coffee and think, revenge isn't the explosion. It's the silence after the blast. Erica wanted her secret to die with her. She wanted to carry it like it was never real, like it couldn't hurt anyone if she just stayed quiet long enough. But I made sure it followed her, that it became part of her name, part of her body, part of her legacy. Not to ruin her, to reveal her. There's a difference. I didn't destroy her. I just stopped covering for her. Now, the only thing left is the peace I earned, not gifted, not granted, earned. And I plan to keep it.